As you approach the bus, look for leaks underneath and check that the bus is sitting level. On the front of the bus, you want to check that all mirrors are mounted properly, are not loose, they are not cracked or damaged in any way. You want to check that the mirror mounts are secure, not damaged. Check that the windshield is secure, no signs of cracks, no damage. Check that the lights are all secure, all the proper color, there's no damage, they're clean, secure, not broken or damaged. Also want to check that the wiper arms are secure, no damage to them. You can check the tires. As you begin checking the tires, you want to make sure that there's no damage to the tire walls or the treads, that they're even. There's even wear across the tires. The front tires must be a minimum of 4 30-seconds in tread depth. The rear tires is a minimum of 2 30-seconds of tread depth. Check that they're proper inflation with either a tire gauge or a beater bat. And make sure that there is no damage to the rims. There's no sign of welding repairs. Make sure they're not cracked in any way. At the rear tires, you would want to make sure that those dual tires are properly spaced to make sure the valve caps are not missing or damaged, that the lug nuts show no signs of damage, that they're not cracked, loose or rusted, or there's no shiny threads. You want to make sure that the bolt holes are not cracked or distorted. Also check that the axle seals are not leaking and ensure that the splash guards are secure and not damaged. Underneath there, you'd also want to check that the shock absorbers are secure and not damaged. You want to check that the leaf springs, make sure that they have the proper hangers in place, that no bolts are loose or missing, that they're not damaged, they're not shifted, they're not missing or cracked. Under there, you'd also check that the exhaust has no signs of leaks, cracks, rust, carbon, or soot. You want to make sure that the exhaust is securely fashioned. And then you would also come around to this side. While you're walking around, you would check the battery box, open it up, check that all the battery connections are secure and tight, that there's cell caps are present, there's no excessive corrosion, and check that this door is secure. On the left side, there's the AC circuit breaker here. You want to make sure that you check for any puddles on the ground. Make sure there's no sign of puddles on the ground. Look for drips as you inspect the hoses. Over here, you would check the coolant level to make sure that it is at the proper level. And then when we move over, there's the oil dipstick. You want to make sure that the oil is at the proper operating level. So we're looking around at belts. I want to make sure that all of the belts are in good condition, that they are secure. There's no frays, rips, tears. Make sure that there's no more than 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of play at the center. And then we would look here and see that there's the alternator. Make sure it looks good, it's secure, no bolts are missing, cracked, no damage there. Come down here to the water pump. Make sure that it is secure, there's no leaks, no cracks, all the bolts are secure in place. And then we'd come up here to the AC compressor. Make sure that it is secure and no bolts are missing. Come over here to the hydraulic. Make sure that the hydraulic fluid in the sight glass is good. Hydraulics are running back here, the power steering. So I want to make sure that it's secured and that it's fastened. There's no signs of damage and there's nothing broken. And then also over on this side, you'd see the transmission fluid. Make sure that that is level. The dipstick is there to make sure that it is all good. On this side of the engine, make sure that you check the air compressor. Make sure it's secure, it's not damaged, there are no missing or loose bolts. Make sure that all the air lines coming out of it are not frayed, worn, cracked, or damaged, and that they're not leaking. This is also a gear-driven portion of the engine. So that's the main parts of the engine. You're checking all the hoses. Make sure there's no signs of cracks, damage, leaks. Everything is secured in place. The fan over here, which is also run hydraulically, is good. It's secure. All the blades are in place. There's no issues there. Then, as we close, and looking at the back of the bus, we want to make sure the clearance lights are all secure, clean, no cracks, no damage. That all of the reflector tape is in good condition, securely fastened. All of the indicator lights, they're all the right colors. All the reflectors are in place. None of them are cracked, damaged, loose, or broken. And then as we come around this side, we're going to make sure that the baggage compartment doors, again, checking each tire for proper tread depth, proper inflation, proper spacing, checking that all the reflective tape is in good condition, and make sure each of these doors opens and then secures and closes properly in place. As we come up here to the gas door, we're going to make sure that it is secure. We open up the gas door and make sure that the gas cap is secure, tight on there. No smell of any sort of leak in there. That the gas tank is mounted properly and there are no signs of leaks in the gas tank under here. You'd also want to check under there to make sure that the drive shaft is not bent or cracked in any way. So we'll climb under here. Check that the drive shaft, what we can see, is good. Under here, make sure that the drive shaft is not bent or cracked. All couplings are clear of foreign objects. Want to check the frame, make sure that all of the frame is free of cracks. Make sure there are no broken wells, there are no holes that shouldn't be there. At the front of the bus, we'd want to check the steering box, make sure that the hoses are mounted properly. Check for any missing nuts, bolts, or cotter keys. Make sure that the power steering is free of leaks or damage to the hoses. Check that the steering linkage here is connected to link arms, rods. Nothing is worn or cracked. Make sure any joints are not worn or loose. Come back here and check the brakes. Make sure that the slack adjusters and push rods are not broken, loose, or missing. So the manual slack adjuster should not move more than an inch. We're going to check the brake chamber there on top. Make sure that it's not leaking or cracked. Check that the brake hoses lines are free of cracks, wear, leaks. Make sure that all the couplings are good. I want to check the drum brake for any cracks, dents, holes, or loose or missing bolts. Check for any contaminants like debris or grease being inside each area here. Make sure that the brake linings are not extremely thin. Checking the leaf spring hangers here. Leaf springs are not shifted, cracked, missing, no bolts, and all the hangers are secure to the body at each point. And we could enter the bus, which we are going to unlock. As soon as we open the bus, we want to make sure that the door seals, the door itself is not damaged, that the hinges are secure, it opens properly, and that all the seals are intact. As we look into the vehicle, we want to check that the tread on each stair is secure, not loose or damaged, and then check that the lights are secure, there's no cracks, no indication that they are not working. Make sure that each handhold is secure and fixed properly, no bolts are missing. And then enter, making sure you always have 3 points of contact when you enter and exit the bus. And checking under here, we were looking for our safety items. There is our fire extinguisher. It's in the green. Make sure it has a current tag on it. There are 3 reflector triangles. In case of emergency, there's our beater bat for checking the inflation of the tires. And then located up here, I want to open these and check this compartment, which does have extra fuses over here. Right there are the extra fuses and the registration. So we're going to make sure that that is close and secure. I'm going to go through, push and pull each passenger seat to make sure that each seat is secured. Make sure that they are not loose, no bolts are missing in the seats. As you go through, you want to check each emergency exit. Make sure that it is properly marked and that it opens and closes. On this bus, there are 3 emergency exit windows on each side. Make sure that the signs are all good, they open and close. There are also 2 roof hatches, but you want to make sure that it opens and closes properly, not just allowing air in, but making sure that the emergency does open and close there. Here you want to make sure to look at each light on the ceiling, that it's secure, not broken, and you'll check it when it works when you check your lights. To check each seat walking back, you'd also get to the back emergency exit. Make sure that it opens and closes, if there are no issues as you're going through. You also want to check that the aisle tread, there's nothing loose. It could cause a passenger to slip. Then when we come to the driver's seat, make sure that we can close the door. And then sit down in the driver's seat. You want to check that the seat belt is secured, that it's got no missing bolts. So you check the belt, you want to make sure that it moves and opens, operates and latches securely. And then check the belt to make sure that it's not frayed or cut in any way. Then check all your mirrors. Make sure that they are properly adjusted for you as a driver, including your passenger mirror. Make sure that you can see to the back of the bus. Check the windshield again. Check the wipers. Make sure they're not worn. There's no signs of fraying in the blades. Check the windshield for cracks. Make sure there's no obstructions to keep you from seeing what you need to see. So you sit down, you want to make sure that the steering wheel has no more than 10 degrees or 2 inches of play in it. And then you could ask to turn the engine on properly. The instructor gives you the go ahead, put the key in to start the engine. Making sure that all of the gauges properly working, and we're good to start. Once the engine is started, we can go over here, check that the wipers work, the washer is spraying up here. And we're going to come over here and check that the defrost blows. Got that. And we come here and check the horn. The horn works. And then ask the instructor to check with the light check. Over here we have lights on. Want to make sure we have a left turn signal, a right turn signal, and 4-way flashers. Cancel that. Make sure that we have high beams and low beams that are all working. You'd also ask the instructor to move to the rear of the vehicle to check the left and right turn signals, the brake lights, the 4-way flashers, as well as the reverse lights. And once he returns to the inside of the vehicle, make sure that you check all of the passenger lighting that is on the interior on the top. You want to go through and check that your front and rear air pressure are good. Got your temperature gauge here, your voltage meter there. Make sure that the fuel's in the right place. The voltage meter here is good, and your temperature is all within operating range. Recommend checking your door. Make sure that it opens and closes. And also want to make sure you have no ABS indicator light there. So you may be asked to also check the brakes, that they're working. One way to check is to push down on the brake, put it in gear, let off. Make sure that our parking brake holds us in place, which it does. So we are going to turn that off, and we're going to drive forward about 5 miles an hour, pushing on the brake to make sure that the vehicle does not pull to the left or to the right as we stop. It does not. I'm going to turn just the electrical on. And depress this and hold. And make sure that once the pressure settles, that in 1 minute we're not losing more than 4 pounds of pressure of holding down. And then the other way to check, wheels chopped. Feather this on and off, watching the pressure go down. Make sure that at 60 psi, the indicator light does come on. And at 20 psi, as we continue doing this, the parking brake should automatically apply itself. And at 25, parking brake applied itself.